Welcome everybody to the Two Goalies One Mic pregame show. I am joined by Cullen. Buddy, how are you doing tonight? Before we continue, sorry to those who are expecting to watch on Twitter. Had some technical difficulties. We'll try and get that figured out soon. But we're gonna get to tonight's matchup between the Buffalo Sabres and the Anaheim Ducks. Cullen, how are you tonight, man?
I'm doing good. Looking forward to this Buffalo West Coast trip. They've been starting off the season good, going on the road across the country. We'll see how they fare. But tonight's the first game, and against a bad Anaheim team, we should take advantage of them.
Yep. And we're getting the Anthony Stolars, the backup goaltender tonight. Pretty excited to see the Sabres have a good opportunity to go 6-1-1 to start the season. Again against a Anaheim Ducks team that's struggling, no starting goaltender or not. You have a young Jamie Drysdale on the blue line, a guy that I'm still very high on, but I feel like Anaheim's making a mistake having him log that many minutes this early in his career. Nothing against the kid, but I just don't know if he's ready, and it reminds me a lot of the way we handled Ristolainen early in his career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's throwing the guy in there to play all those minutes. Not good for him starting off his young career, but I mean, if they trust him to do that, then that's their own decision. But I mean, hopefully tonight we'll see it pay off for the Sabres.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it's a very good opportunity for Buffalo to, start the season off here. I think they're still holding down second in the Atlantic Division. I think they've gathered all but 3 points so far this season. Not exactly where we expected this team to be at this point in the season. 8 games in. And granted, it's only 8 games. Or actually, we're going into the eighth game. Sorry, but definitely not where we expected this Sabres team to be.
Yeah, going 6 games, you start off 4-1-1, and the NHL. It's an early season, but it is full of parity and the way the Sabres are playing. I mean, I think they're tied right now for second in the Atlantic with the Red
Yep.
Wings, who no one expected to be up there
No,
either.
exactly.
But it's good. It's fun to see this team playing well, and it's a fun hockey team to watch. Nothing like what we've seen
Yeah.
over the past few years.
They're ahead of both Stanley Cup finalists from last season. They're ahead of Toronto. They're ahead of a lot of teams that were expected to start the season off hot, and it's very surprising. It's a lot of fun. Hockey's fun again fun to watch again, and I couldn't be happier as a Sabres fan to finally see a team that's just willing to go out there and work their tails off. Which is all we've really wanted over the last 5 years. Is a team that goes out there and works their asses off, and that's not to say that all the players on those previous Sabres teams weren't doing that, but cumulatively as a team, as a whole, as a unit, they weren't doing it every single night.
And what you said when we did our season preview show is that this team is they might not win a lot of games, they might not score a lot of goals, but they're gonna be tough to play against because they're gonna put in the effort and put in the hard work and try and hassle you. And that's what we've seen so far. The forecheck has been phenomenal. They're being fast. They're getting to the pucks fast. They're winning those battles. And when it comes down to it, as the season goes along, if you can play that style of hockey and get on teams and get them in their own end, I mean, that forces mistakes. And yeah, teams are going to clean it up. It's super early in the season still, but if you can maintain that style of hockey and that style of pressure, and I mean, it's entertaining to watch, and you're going to be a tough team to go against.
You're absolutely right, and I said it before, and I'll say it again. They're going to grind out a lot of loser points this season. They're going to get games to overtime and shootouts just from working hard. Granted, the games they will lose. I truly believe this, and I think it was shown in Boston, where Sabres on paper were the better hockey team, but that's where you're going to see the elite talent other teams kind of overtake games. You'll see guys like in that game, Pasternak or Marchand make individual plays that maybe players on this team just aren't ready to make or aren't quite there yet. That's where I think you'll see this team lose games. The goaltending has been spectacular. You can't complain about it all, not even with Duska Tokarski. I don't think it's sustainable, but we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Just coming down, tweeted out from Hockey Night in Canada, something I think we all expected, and I'm happy to hear. Florida Panthers announced that the Joe Quenneville has resigned from his head coaching position with the team after meeting with Gary Bettman in New York today, which is good because honestly, and I say this with all sincerity, he is a scumbag. He had an opportunity to do the right thing, him along with Stan Bowman and every player on that Chicago Blackhawks team that knew what was going on with Kyle Beach and the sexual assault charges and how they covered it up. And I'm happy that these guys will probably never see the light of day in the NHL again.
Yeah, and there's no place for that in hockey. There's no place for that in sports. No place for that in the world. And when you cover it up like that, with how much like knowledge that people have and the availability of the internet, and now like it's gonna come out, and you're gonna get punished for it. And Kyle Beach, I don't know him, whatever, but proud of him. I mean, it takes a lot of courage
He's a
to come
hero.
out, and it takes a lot of
He's a
courage,
hero.
takes a lot of bravery to come out and not take down that. I'm sure that wasn't an intention, but just come out and speak on it, and let the NHL do their job. And I mean, he should have been Quenneville should have been fired. He probably was fired. They probably asked him to leave or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not a good look for them, for him, for the Blackhawks, even for the league. At this point, and like you said, I saw your Twitter page last night. Like, no way Quenneville should have been allowed on that bench last night, especially after all that came out before the game. But yeah,
especially after the Kyle Beach interview on SportsCenter with Rick Westwood. It's like, what are they thinking? Like, read the room, man. Like, this is not a good look for the Florida Panthers. Like, this isn't like, going 7-0-0 is not as important as doing the right thing. He should have never been behind an NHL bench last night. It's disgusting. It's repulsive. And I can't believe that even if they made that move today, it still doesn't take away the fact that they were one day too late with that decision.
And they know he knew what was going to happen. I mean, he knew right after the game, or probably even before the game. He
a coward.
Skipped his press conference because that's all that people are going to ask about. Nobody cares about what just happened on the ice because there's so much bigger things at large here.
Yeah, he's a coward. He's willing to stand behind the bench and coach an undefeated hockey team, but he can't go before reporters and face the music for honestly what he deserves, and he deserves a lot more than that. And one of the things that Stan Bowman said, and I'll get in this tomorrow on Two Goalies with Mike with Cully, is Stan, leadership with Chicago on Tuesday said that they would like to believe that the Stan Bowman they've grown to know today would have made a different decision if this happened today, rather than the decision that what happened 11 years ago. And want to know what? The Stan Bowman you know today has known this for 11 years. And the only reason he came out and told his story and told the alleged truth, to his recollection, is because his back was against the wall and he had no choice. So I don't want to hear that the Stan Bowman you came to know, and absolutely, it's bullshit. Absolute bullshit. He had 11 years to say something. He had 11 years, and he chose not to. So that doesn't make him a better person, a good person. Don't commend him for finally telling the truth. He should have did it at least at some point over the last several years. Instead, a guy's innocence and a guy's life was ruined. Absolutely ruined. His career in the NHL was derailed before it could even start, all because of some scumbag named Bradley Aldrich, who, the fact that his name is on a Stanley Cup is disgusting. And if it is not removed, honestly, within the next month, I think Greg Wyshynski tweeted out, it's like, I don't care if you have to melt that thing down and make a new one. Get their names off the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, they don't deserve it. They don't deserve to.
No.
I mean, yeah, they were part of that team, but like, look what they did to a young hockey player's career. They ruined his life, essentially, is what they did. And coming out is tough. And if it's 11 years later, good for Kyle Beach, like, great for him. But like, these guys, they knew what was going on. They've known for the past 11 years. They're probably thinking, oh, it's 11 years. We're finally behind the 8 ball. Like, we're good here. And Kyle Beach comes out and has that interview and has his representation talk for him. And now, of course, they're going to come out and say, oh, like, here's what happened. Like, this is what happened from our point of view. Like, yeah, like, obviously you're going to come out. You have to defend yourself. And it's not a good look for the Blackhawks. And, I mean, I was listening to the Instigators today, and Marty was talking about, like, we talk about leadership in this locker room and the Sabres, and Craig Anderson's came in, and he's been a great leader. And, like, how was that team able to win cups when they knew what was going on? It's just – it doesn't look good for them. It doesn't look good for any players that were on that team. Like, they came out and tormented Beach. Like, when they found out what happened, they knew about it back then, and they're cussing him out in the locker room, giving him homophobic slurs.
Yep.
And like, it's not a good look for that organization as a whole. And those guys specifically, they need to get their punishment. They shouldn't be allowed in the hockey world ever again.
Never again. And I could agree with you more. The players that harassed him and made those homophobic slurs, and the ones that knew, let's talk about Jonathan Taves, for instance, the captain. I know he was a young captain at the time, and maybe he was just, just didn't know what to do, wasn't mature enough to know how to handle that. But again, you had 11 years. 11 years to do something, 11 years to say something. And John Tortorella, who's I think probably going to be the front runner to land that job in Florida, and rightfully so, he made those comments, like, how would you have handled this differently if this was your son you know what I mean? If this was your son, would you have handled this differently? And he said he's blown away. And it's crazy that out of a room full of 20 players, that nobody had the balls to stand up and say, hey, this is wrong. This guy shouldn't be in our locker room. He shouldn't be in the league. He should be in jail. Not a single guy stood up.
Yeah, and it's so hard to believe that would even happen, but it did. And like here we are 11 years later and this is going on and all this is coming out and it's like, come on, like you should be a better person. Like don't put aside hockey for like 10 minutes, like, or put aside hockey for a game or whatever. Who cares about hockey at this point? Like this Kyle Beach's life was ruined. And now we're hearing all the story and he's had to live with this for the past 11 years. Finally got the courage to come out and talk about it, and props to him. But those other guys, like this is so much bigger than hockey. We're at a point today where this like shouldn't ever happen. It can't happen. It's way bigger than sports. It's about a person, not as a hockey player, but as a person himself who has to live with this for the past 11 years. And, how does he look at all those other guys who he thought, these are my teammates, these are my brothers. It's a lot, like everybody knows if you played sports what that locker room is supposed to feel like. It's supposed to be a family, a brotherhood. And how is he supposed to feel the past 11 years when it happened, that none of these guys had his back. Nobody wanted to come out and say something about it.
It sucks. I know Brent Sopel came out and said something and said that everybody in that locker room knew and it was an open secret essentially. But like, I appreciate him coming out and saying that, but why wait till now? Why wait till now? Like this could have been handled such a long time ago, and it sucks, man. It sucks. And you know what, Sopel? I commend him for having Kyle Beach's back. But you know what, man? It's disgusting that it took this long. Kyle, again, his career was derailed before it could even start. It seems he's happy over in Germany playing in the league on a team he's playing now. I'm going to tweet out tomorrow. There's going to be a link to purchase Kyle Beach jerseys for the team he plays out now in that German league. I would suggest. I mean, honestly, right now that's the only guy's jersey that I want to wear because that's the most courageous hockey player I've ever seen in my life, to have the ability to to come out and tell his story the way he did, and and hopefully there are changes on the way. And it's just sad that it took this for this issue to be taken seriously. It's sad, but
yeah.
we are getting into face off here. It's 10:04. Just quick prediction from you, Cullen, on tonight's game. Do you think Buffalo is going to be 6-1-1 after around probably 12:30 this morning and 12:30 our time?
I think they're heading on this road trip strong, coming off that big win against Tampa. And like you said, they're going to win a lot of games. They might not win a lot of games, but they're going to play hard. And that Boston game, they were clearly the better team on the ice. They just couldn't find those ways to put the puck in the back of the net. And it was kind of the opposite on Monday, that the Lightning outplayed them for 2 straight periods, and Granato got in their head in the second intermission, and they came out fired in that third and took over that game. So coming in, I think they're hot. I think Craig Anderson's off to a great start he pretty much came out of retirement to play for us. And he's playing great, and I think they walk away. They are underdogs tonight. I don't know how that's possible. They've been playing well. They're going up against a backup goalie. I'll take the Sabres probably 3-1, 4-2. 2 goals, I think.
I like that prediction. I'm gonna be right there with you. I think Craig Anderson actually pitches a shutout tonight. I think the Sabres win 2-0 against a very young and struggling Anaheim Ducks team. I know they have some talent there with guys like Zegras, a guy that's always been his name's always been thrown around, and Jack Eichel trade rumors, another thing that was thrown around today. It seems like things between Jack Eichel, the Sabres, and Vegas are heating up. We'll see what happens there in the next 24 hours. I know there's rumors floating around that Eichel and his agents might file a grievance with the NHLPA, which could be coming down the pipeline. I don't know where that'll get them. It's in the CBA that the Sabres have this right, so I don't know what argument they could possibly present that would make the NHL favor with them rather than the Sabres. But we'll see. Everybody knows my feelings on that situation anyways. But yeah, I predict 2-0. I could see Cousins continue where he left off against Tampa, scoring a goal here, and with maybe an empty netter from a guy like, I don't know, maybe like Dahlin. So, I'd like to see Dahlin get on the score sheet. But with that being said, this has been the Sabres pregame show brought to you by Outlet Liquor. What's your outlet? The place to buy a case? Go to Outlet Liquor.
Outlet Liquor is your place to buy a case. Stock up and save when you shop the lowest prices available every day at Outlet Liquor. You never have to wait for a sale. The more you buy, the more you save. Only at Outlet Liquor.
What's your outlet?